I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. Thank you for joining us this evening. And those of you who are joining us for the first time, a very special thank you. I am always looking for opportunities to have conversations with people or to have people share their life stories. And because I'm of the belief that each and every one of us has a story to tell. And so in every story, there are nuggets of inspirations, nuggets of encouragement. And for those of you who are now tuning in to us for the first time, CWS is about having conversations with people about their journeys. How are they using their gifts and talents to help others? And so I am drawn to such stories, especially when someone not only focuses on their successes, but their challenges and how they have overcome some of their challenges. Because to me, that is what really tests the true mettle of a person. How you're able to rise again after you fall over and over. It's an interesting analogy that because of our guest tonight, who is a professional football player, and in that sport, as we all know, those of us live in North America, people fall a lot and they have to get up. It's part of the game, it's part of the sport. And I like to use that analogy, especially to encourage young people to get up when you fall. It is not over until it's over. And regardless of what you might be going through at the time, know that everything is relative to you. Everything revolves around you. So if you react to everything in a negative way, that is exactly what's going to happen to you. You'll have a negative reaction, and it will continue to be that way. I find myself recently talking a lot about turbulence, and it came to me because some very close friends of mine are going through some challenges recently, and I realized that turbulence have a way of distracting us from our purpose, distracting us from whatever, from our loved ones, for whatever we are supposed to be doing. And what I advise is, in the midst of turbulence, and this may seem difficult to many of us because it is, but in the midst of turbulence, try to be still. There are those who are of the opinion that, look, something comes at you, someone comes at you, there's turbulence, fight it, attack it. But in my experience, and this is what works for me, I realize I have come to believe that the best way to defeat turbulence is to let it defeat itself. But there's an interesting relationship to me with turbulence and being still. It's as if turbulence pauses in awe to reflect on the stillness, wondering how could that stillness be present with all of turbulence's fuss and fury. That stillness is still present. And there's a favorite scripture of mine: "Be still and know." I'm sure many of you know the rest. I know I'm God. And what I tell myself to get me out of situations is that when I am still, turbulence recognizes the presence of God and leaves. And so I want to leave that with you tonight, that in the midst of turbulence, be still. It will pass. It must pass. So I'll take a break, and when I return, I will introduce you to our guest tonight, Christopher Greaves. We are back. Good evening once again to those of you who are now joining us for the first time. I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. The gentleman next to me is Christopher Graves. Christopher, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just enjoying listening in and stuff. Just happy to be here.
Welcome to CWS.
Thank you.
Christopher, I just want to get right into it. You were born and raised in Toronto, Ontario. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed. I'm Toronto born and raised, and I'll forever represent that city.
What was your favorite memory, or what is your favorite memory as a child?
As a child,
Mm-hmm.
my favorite memory as a child was probably just going out over to. They have like they have a little island in Toronto called Center Island, and on the island they have a whole bunch of things you can do. You can go to paddle boats, you can go to a haunted house, you can go ride bumper cars and stuff. And going over the island with my mom, my dad, my brothers, and my sisters, it was an amazing time as a kid. And I don't know, it's just that one sticks out.
Well, you mentioned your mom. I must give a shout out to your mother, Kim Skeet. Your mom is my former classmate from Bishop's High School, Georgetown, Guyana. We grew up in an era when our country had no television, but discipline, education, and respect were emphasized. So we played, but read and debated constantly. Has your mom told you much about her high school years, and what lessons has she passed on to you that have shaped who you are today?
Oh, she remember she told us the story about how she applied to get in Bishops and then she got the letter because it's a really prestigious school from what I hear.
Yes.
Isn't that right?
Yes, it's correct.
Yes, absolutely. So when she got the news, she was super excited, and then she was telling stories about how she had to wear her uniform and venture miles upon miles in order to get to school. I'm not sure exactly what part of Guyana it was in, but I know she had quite the journey in order to get to school every day. And yeah, so hearing her go through that type of stuff kind of instilled a sense of discipline in myself because she had to she took it seriously because she understood that education was something that you have to take seriously, and for her to get into a prestigious school such as that, and for her to travel so far in order to attend school every day and to be among the best, you got to take that seriously. So I don't know, it just taught me to kind of appreciate things.
She's telling you the truth. She did come from far, and it is a school that the where the best of the best went. One of the schools, and I don't at the time when we were children, I don't think we realized the import. Some of us the importance of it, but many things in life you can only understand through reflection, and we were a privileged bunch, not only because we were in an environment with all brilliant people, but I think because at the time our country, the education system in our country had been fine tuned, and we were exposed to some of the most brilliant, committed, and disciplined minds that taught us and mentored us and guided us through that period. So we are really a privileged bunch, and that is why I asked you that question because I've had conversations with you, and one of the things that comes through is how very humble, but how very respectful you are, and I can understand why you're doing so well in that game. But we will talk some more about that tonight. Um, what do you believe most foreigners get wrong about Toronto?
Uh, I don't know. Most foreigners are kind of clueless as the city because if you like I've been to the States a ton, and whenever I go down there they always ask, like, well, not everyone, but a lot of Americans ask, hey, isn't it cold in Canada? I know I even been asked a couple times if there's igloos where I'm from, and do you wear snowshoes in order to go wherever you're going. It's, believe it or not, these are stereotypes, but I've been asked a couple times and kind of it's kind of mind blowing in a sense. And then my response to that is I tell them that it's a melting pot. That very multicultural. You know, you could have an Asian best friend, white best friend, black best friend, Indian best friend. It doesn't really matter. You know, people are people there, and that's it. I tell them it's a melting pot, and I tell them it's a metropolis. It's a huge city, concrete everywhere, and Toronto and the surrounding areas are just bustling with people everywhere.
Who were some of the adults you looked up to when you were a child, and what did you admire most about them?
First and foremost, the person I looked up to the most was my mother, just because she knows a thing about hard work more than anything. And I saw it when I was growing up. She would put us to sleep when we were little kids and then go study all night in order to become an RN because at the time she was not an RN, but she was working towards it. She was still a licensed nurse, but she wanted to be a nurse of the highest caliber. So she'd do that. She'd come home. She'd cook after work sometimes, when weren't able to do anything. And yeah, she just worked extremely hard. For instance, she took jobs in New Jersey. She went to New Jersey for a bit in order to, further herself along in her nursing career. Then we moved to Texas for a bit because, they're offering an opportunity at the time for her to become an RN while being paid, as a warrior, like working at the same time. So yeah, she just went through, complete. I don't want to say like yeah, she just went through hell for us, and I appreciate it the most. So I look up to my mom a lot, and yes,
Thank you for saying.
and also I look up to my father too, just
Mhm.
because. Yeah, I know my parents they're separated, but they still get along a ton. And yes, my dad he's very creative, and he always taught us, my sister and I, and both my brothers to be creative as people and to kind of take a patient, more relaxed look at things. And I appreciate him for that.
Wonderful.
And that's
What has been the best piece of advice you have received from either of them? Started with your mom.
the first piece of advice is to always take the book seriously. Education is key, and it's something that you have to take. It is a critical thing because it determines how your future outcome is, plain and simple. I know a lot of people out there are able to forge successful careers by doing other things, not by following a stream of education. But in the beginning, it opens up doors and windows and opportunities. And if you take it seriously, it also teaches you to grow as a person, both mentally and when it comes to discipline for yourself. So yeah, my mom taught me that, and also she said, whatever you commit to, just work hard at it, and that's it. So I've been doing that ever since. Well, she didn't say it verbally, but I just saw it, the way she attacked things, and I do it the same way. Just work hard and go at it. Just I don't. After a while, I saw that football was going to work out. I just decided to go with it, and she encouraged me, and that's it. So yeah.
And your dad?
And my dad, he is reserved in the sense, so he just taught me how to be patient and stick with the process, patience. Because I don't know, I'd say one thing that people get from me is that I'm pretty patient, and I say I get that from my dad just because I don't know, he's kind of easygoing. I don't know if this is his nature or whatever, but I don't know. I saw that was his plan of attack, so I just kind of took that too.
Let me go down in your timeline a little bit. What would you say is your fondest memory of high school?
High school. Oh,
Hmm.
it was interesting. There's so many memories from high school. Should we go with a good one or a bad one?
You pick one. This is your night.
Okay. I'm going to go with two of them, first of all. I remember the first week of grade 9, I was in Seton Hall Preparatory School that was in New Jersey. And this was on September 11th, 2001. So 9/11. So we're in the classroom and we're learning, it was an English class, and our teacher's name was Mr. Whitaker. And that's when the planes hit the towers. And the funny thing is, our school is kind of on a little bit of an escarpment slash citadel type thing. And you can see across the Hudson River and see both towers on fire. And I remember being in school at the time, everyone was going crazy. It was insane. because I don't know, no one knew how to react. It was not exciting in a positive way, just exciting and it got the adrenaline flowing and people were confused and stuff. And I remember that. That's my foremost memory from high school. And then my other memory is how I got into football. It was it's a funny story. So after my grade 9 year in the States, we moved to Mississauga, which is a suburb of Toronto, Ontario. And so I'm just a new kid at the school, and my whole life, I'll be honest, I was terrified of playing football. And then,
So
so I
before you go
walked
there, Chris, what was your favorite sport in as a child or in high school?
basketball. I played
Ba-
basketball growing up the whole time. I was like
Basketball.
a tall kid, and
Okay,
I always played center and stuff, and it was easy to do it. So yeah, that's
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah. So at the new school, I know everybody just called me Big Chris from New Jersey. That's what I was known as, and I know people would try to get me to say funny words like most the Canadians say forest, I say forest. Yeah, so they try to get me to say words like that and stuff. So yeah, I was talking to the kids and stuff. And then one day we had gym class, and I walk in the gym and I decided, might as well participate in some sport. It's either football or volleyball, and I kind of like built up myself and finally had the courage to actually go play football. Because first, I'll be honest, I was afraid to get hurt, so finally built up the courage. And I walked in the gym, and I basically decided that the first coach I saw, whether it be the volleyball coach or the football coach, that's the sport I was going to play. And then I ran into Kevin Linden. He was my football coach through all of high school, and that was it.
That was it.
that's how it happened. He
Wow.
saw how, yeah, he saw how big I was, and he just the rest is history from there.
Chris, was school fun for you, and what type of subjects did you particularly enjoy?
Okay, school was tons of fun just because you met in Toronto. School was a blast just because you meet a whole bunch of people from all walks of life. Honestly, I've met everybody from every culture and stuff, and I was friends with everyone in high school. There was no set clique I was a part of. I was just everywhere, just bouncing from group to group and embraced by everyone. So that's that was fun in high school. Subjects that I enjoyed, believe it or not, in my before I went to university and decided to study something else, I wanted to be an engineer. So I studied like calculus, discrete mathematics, data management, all sorts of math stuff. So I enjoyed that. To me, it was
Exciting stuff.
yeah, it was like solving a puzzle. That's the way I looked at it
Uh,
every
uh,
time. So yeah, I really enjoyed mathematics courses just because to me it was a game. It was a game, and when you get the correct solution, you win. So that's the way I viewed it.
Chris, let me just take a moment to say this because we have guests from all over the world. It's web, and so people from different parts of the world tune in. I just want to say this that if you're tuning in for the first time, and you're having some issues with the video, we have three options. If you roll your mouse over the display, the video, you will see a 480, 400, and 360 bitrate. Choose a lower one, and if choose one that suits you. I want everyone to be able to enjoy this show. So anyway, Chris, let's go back to you. At 6'6", you're a giant by many standards, but a gentle one that respects youth and loves to teach them. Can you tell us why your time with the youth is so important?
Oh, I don't know. Just it's weird. I just have this weird connection with kids. I get along really well with them. It's funny because at first they're terrified because I am 6'6" and 305 pounds. So I'm not a small person by any means. And when you go stand next to the kids, they're intimidated because I seem more like a building or a monolith in a sense to them at first. But then when they realize I'm a total goofball, I am completely open. I am a kid around kids. So, and once that starts, it's amazing. And I don't know, I just have fun around them. And it's like playing the whole time, as I'm teaching them. So I don't know. We just have this weird connection, and just like teaching the youth. It's just the way it goes.
What is most satisfying about your interactions with them?
Most satisfying thing about interacting with them is probably watching them just grow as people. Just turning into adults and seeing how the steps go. Like how they reason and how they'll turn out is kind of strange because I've been in the city, like Winnipeg, for 4 years, and I've been to many, many schools and stuff. And then you go back, and then you'll occasionally run into kids who've grown both mentally and physically, and it's good to see like how they grow as people, and teaching them how to be adults or like how to become proper adults is probably the most satisfying thing. And I do that just by speaking to them as people, as my peers, not just little kids, not as an authoritative figure.
I want to shift into the chat room for a second. Um, Lil Sis 25 asked Christopher, "What inspired you to begin working with youth?"
I honestly, so the way it works is it began as I kind of like a team outreach. Our team does tons of community stuff, and one of the things we do is it's called I Love to Read Month, and it happens in February in Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is a province of Canada. So province wide, they have this event where you go around schools and you pick up books and you literally just sit in front of dozens and dozens of kids and you just read nonstop. Just read books, books, books. After a while, I just got started chatting. I started chatting with the kids, and I don't know, they were hilarious, and I just enjoyed it. So I've been back to volunteer my time many, many times, and it's been fun.
You mentioned, I want to get this question in. You mentioned one of the qualities of your dad that you like and you have adopted is patience, and you admired rather and adopted. And you also mentioned that before you actually went to university, you took all these exciting subjects,
Yes.
and you attribute that to like solving a puzzle. So I look at those two qualities, those two attributes of yours, patience and solving puzzles. Um, Wonderful combination. Has there been anything in your life um, that you've had to employ those two things to get through, to overcome? Patience.
Oh,
Mhm.
yes, I would say so. Probably patience in the sense, when I'm playing my sport,
Right.
you always get injured and stuff, so you have to be patient in order to understand how to rehabilitate yourself, and that it's a step by step process in order to reach an end goal. So whenever I get hurt, however it may be, patience is the key, and I don't try to overdo it. I try to do everything within my limits to get to where I need to be. So, for instance, for instance, I dislocated my ankle in the past, and I knew that was going to be a 3 or 4 month process. I was just patient. I wasn't mad. I just did my work because I knew I'd be better one day. And you just patiently go along, and you'll be happy regardless. You make the best out of a bad situation.
In the chat room, Tim asked, "Do you prefer football to basketball? Was it
Ah,
difficult? Was it difficult to make the change?"
it wasn't difficult to make the change. I'd say basketball helped me out a ton just because it teaches you hand-eye coordination, it teaches you footwork, it teaches you lateral movement, and all sorts of things that translate over to football. And me being the size I was, it helped a ton just because I came in with like certain physical attributes that not a lot of people my size have, so it was lucky. But which one I prefer? I would say, honestly, this is going to seem terrible, but I prefer basketball. I love basketball. I stopped playing because every time I step on the court, something goes wrong. It's like Murphy's Law. I just get hurt. So I had to stop playing. It burdens me inside, but yes, I had to stop playing. I love basketball. I'm a huge fan. I'm a big Raptors fan. Yeah.
um, there's a photo of you with your mom, which I grabbed from Facebook, and I hope she doesn't get me for this, but I just absolutely love this photo, and I'm gonna just for a moment. Um, with the two of you smiling, and that was such a wonderful moment. You had this number six, you had 64 on your jersey. What were you thinking? What were you present to at that moment when you were taking that photo?
Oh, it meant a lot. I was just happy to see my family. So I'll tell you everything that led into the moment. So this was right after university. I had been drafted to go play for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is a team I play for. And so about 6 days before camp, they asked me to switch positions, which is extremely hard to do, especially on professional level, because you're essentially going in brand new versus a bunch of professionals. And yeah, so need to say I had a rough time there. Like my first month there, I was just learning brand new from scratch, and I hadn't seen. And the way it works is during camp, you don't see your family for about 2 to 3 weeks, and after the 3 weeks, after waking up every day and just getting the stuff and beat out of me, I got the opportunity to play in the first preseason game. And our first preseason game was versus Hamilton Tiger Cats, and they're about half an hour away from where my mom and my sister live. So they came out to watch, and that's the first time they ever watched me play as a professional. I was just happy to see them after the game. I was just happy to, that they came out to watch me. They are the biggest fans. They're the biggest supporters, and honestly, I owe them. It's incalculable how much you
It
know,
shows. It shows in that smile.
and yeah, when I saw them after the game, I was just happy to see them because it had been about a month, and I had been going through like it was a rough month, and it's just good to see them because they're always so happy. They're happy to see me, and yeah, smiles are contagious, and yeah, that's what happened. That's what led in that moment.
what story does your mom, or would you say your mom, always tells about you?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Well, I don't know if she tells stories about me because my mom she's pretty proud, you know.
Uh,
I'd say,
and I understand why.
and so at work she carries around a clipboard and she has pictures of me and my sister on the clipboard, and one of them I'm wearing the uniform and stuff. So as she carries around the clipboard, people ask, "Oh, is who is that on your clipboard?" And then she tells a story about how I play, and yeah, and then she just goes off in conversation, and that's the way it works. So that's how she tells her stories, and I'm not sure exactly which story she tells. She probably has her a specific set of stories or whatever, but yeah, that's how she leads into it.
I have to ask this question. But let me go into the chat room first. Jill asked, "What you seem well rounded. What do you enjoy doing? I guess for fun. I am probably
Oh,
mean.
for fun, I am probably the biggest nerd on planet Earth. What I do is I build computers. I take them apart and I've modified a couple. I've helped my friends build a couple, and yeah, that's what I do for fun.
Is
And
that so?
yeah, that's what I do. So, uh, the computer I'm looking at right now, I built it myself, and that's what I do for fun.
Hmm.
And also, yeah, I read a ton about sports and a lot about nutrition and physiology just because I want to understand how to make myself a better person for my sport. And that's what I also do for fun. I find that stuff fascinating.
And one more about mom. Well, I don't know if it's one more, but I'm just inclined to ask you, what was her reaction when you first told her you're going to play professional football?
Oh, this is okay. So this is another story. So we, I had a student house at the time in London, Ontario. It's where I went to school. It's where the University of Western Ontario is, and yes, and so the draft day was coming, and so they came down with a whole bunch of stuff to barbecue, and also my roommate had just bought a new barbecue at the time, so they came down, and we had the computer up, and we were just following the draft, and yeah, and we were just waiting and just waiting. So she had an idea that the possibility that I was going to play professional football was, it was significant, and so we were just waiting for my name to be called, and fortunately, I got drafted, even though it was pretty late in the draft, but I got drafted, and yeah, I was just really excited, and yeah, and we are just sitting there and all saying congratulations and stuff, and that was that.
You were drafted by the Blue Bombers in 2010 as a defensive lineman, but then switched to offense in training camp. Can you tell us about that switch and what informed your decision?
Oh, so yeah, I talked about this a little like a couple seconds ago. So defensive line is a position where you basically try to sack the quarterback. I don't know if you watch football, well, American football on TV, you'll see people tackle the quarterback. They'll get up and then do some celebrations. That's what I used to play. So 6 days before camp, my coach Paul Lapalisse called me and said, "We're going to try you out at offensive line." And I was like, "Oh boy, I wish he had called me a little bit earlier because I've been preparing to be a defensive lineman. And if I knew, man, I would have tried to get myself in the best possible condition to succeed as an offensive lineman." So, and in the 6 days before camp, I was trying to do a couple of drills and stuff, and trying to get ready. Yeah. So I go out there, and then I was randomly given the number 64. So, I'm like, okay, I stuck with it. Perfectly honest, I thought, hey, I'm going to get steamrolled. I probably don't stand much of a chance. It's bad. I know it's probably a bad philosophy to take, but when you're going up against a bunch of professionals, that's kind of the idea you have. And so, like, after like a couple weeks, of just at the beginning, I was pretty bad. I was just getting killed nonstop, and then gradually, it just kept on getting better, better, better. You learn, 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 and I guess I learned fairly quick enough. And I played fairly well in the preseason games, and yeah, they decided to keep me around. I've been here ever since. Just finished my fourth year.
Congratulations. How
Mhm.
important is nutrition to your success and performance?
Oh, it's very important. Just because I play a position where it's important to keep on size and bulk. You have to have significant size in order to not get pushed back into the quarterback. So the position I currently play, our job is to protect the quarterback. If anybody's seen the movie Blindside, that is what I do in a nutshell. I am the guy who's beside Big Michael Oher. So that's my position. It would be left guard. So eating is paramount in order to be successful in my position group. So all the guys are usually over 300 pounds. They're all big, burly guys. Some of them have nice big stomachs and broad shoulders, just real barrel chested and wide human beings. So, I got to eat a ton. So, eating tons of protein. So, yesterday I was just joking around with my roommates. I had 9 chicken thighs in the span of
Wait, wait, but
4 hours.
9 chicken
Nine,
thighs.
yes. That's
Okay,
what I got to do. I
okay.
lost a ton of size, and that's how I got to put it back on. That's the way it goes. You just got to eat, eat, and eat.
Have you ever rushed into someone and I mean really got surprised by the resistance, the strength, the sturdiness? I mean, has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, it happens a fair amount. In the CFL, there are tons of strong individuals, and I can name a couple friends. It's like one guy who plays for the Toronto Argonauts. His name is Khalif Mitchell, and he is a big, big boy. He is about 317 pounds, and when he decides to go, he can go. So you gotta do everything in your power to, just not get moved. And he is strong, so he surprised me a couple times.
Wow. Lil Sis 25 said you have mentioned your sister a bit. What is your relationship like with her? Do you have any other siblings?
So my dad was previously married, and he had 2 boys before he met my mom. And yes, they both live about 10 minutes away from my the home that I grew up in Mississauga, Ontario. And yeah, we're close. And but my one brother just worked. Actually, they both just work all the time, nonstop. They're just workaholics. And yeah, so but we're still close. We used to play basketball all the time growing up together. My I'm really close with my younger sister. She's a year younger than I am. Well, a year and 8 months to be exact. And honestly, every time we run into each other, people probably think we're insane just because we just completely are ourselves around each other. We just joke around and stuff. For instance, like if we go out and have a good time, we're just like dancing, like if nobody's there. It's just the funniest relationship. And if anybody saw us and knew us, then they'd understand exactly what I'm talking about.
um, Chris, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
We are back with Michael Beach. We are back with Christopher Greaves. Christopher, uh, what do you advise young people about their health?
Sorry, I didn't hear the
Oh,
second
sorry.
part
What do you advise young people about their health, about taking care of their health?
about their health. Oh, it's absolutely critical because honestly, you only have one life and you have one body and you want it to last as long as possible. So therefore, getting out, getting proper exercise, whether it be just playing the sports you love and actually listening to your parents and eating properly is very, very important. And yeah, it'll honestly go a long way to prevent a lot of future problems it can cause if you know, don't take care of your body. And that's it.
Uh,
And, you got to actually take it very seriously. And, you know, during your youth, that's where a lot of future problems are, you know, like the foundation's laid for future problems that could happen. So like if you have a bad diet and you eat tons of salt, you could have high blood pressure, which in turn could lead to a stroke in the long run. It's just a cataclysmic chain of events that go from year to year, and you got to start it well as soon as possible, and that's when you're young.
Um, in the chat room, Wayne Wayne said, as an offense lineman, what do you think of the latest controversy between Incognito and Martin of the Miami Dolphins? And what is the culture like in the locker room of Canadian football
Well,
teams?
that's an incredible question. So it's the locker room dynamic's an interesting place, just because the way it goes is seniority trumps all, and from my understanding, since the Dolphins have a young offensive line, that Martin, I mean Incognito was the senior of the group, and I don't know what's going on. It's tough for me to comment on, but I guess Incognito may like he's trying to enforce his leadership role, by planning trips and whatever, trying to get Jonathan Martin to go on this trip, even though Jonathan Martin probably did not want to go on this trip, and you know, even though I guess I don't know if Martin was afraid to say no or whatever, but either way, he had to forfeit $15,000. But and yes, it's an interesting dynamic in the locker room, for instance. But the number one rule is seniority trumps all, and usually the way it goes is if you're a rookie or a second year guy, you listen to your veterans, plain and simple, and that's the way it goes. So, for instance, when I was a rookie, I had to buy donuts 3 days a week. And I brought them in. I didn't have a car. I had nothing. I took the bus to practice because I didn't have a car. And, in the CFL, you don't make much money, plain and simple, especially as a rookie. So I took the bus, walked to Tim Hortons, even though some days outside it was minus 20 degrees Celsius. And yeah, got the donuts, got the muffins or whatever, sandwiches, whatever the vets wanted. And that's it. That is your rite of passage into becoming a veteran. So I don't know. There must have been like some sort of disconnect. But I do believe that like wrongs have been done by both parties. I believe that Martin may not have fulfilled his role as a younger offensive lineman, but I do feel as well as if Incognito may have overstepped certain boundaries. I can't offer specifics as to what happens, but that's I'm just letting you know how dynamics work in our locker room.
Chris, what are you most proud of as a football player?
Honestly, I am just happy to be playing and just have the opportunity to do so, and I'm proud that it's kind of tough. It's a really hard question to answer. I'm just proud that uh, just to be here, plain and simple, just being
Good
having this
answer.
opportunity and knowing that it's rare, and I've come a long way.
Um, take us on a tour of a normal training day and what you do.
Okay, so the way it worked this year was I was pretty banged up, so the alarm goes off at 6 o'clock in the morning. You get up, you get in the car, you brush your teeth, and you hurry, get ready, hop in the car, and then get to the stadium about 6:30 ish. At 6:30, I have treatment to treat whatever injury I had. I had various throughout the years, and I mean this year. And usually treatment lasts about an hour. They hook you up to certain machines. Sometimes they have you go in the weight room and do a certain list of exercises and stuff. So yeah, it ends at 7:30. Then at 7:30, I'd usually hop back in my car and then go get breakfast at the local breakfast spot. It's called Edna's. It's fantastic, by the way. Awesome everything. So I go to Edna's. Have my coffee, read the paper a little bit. Then I'll take about 45 minutes. Come back at 8:15, and then get ready for practice by getting changed, put on all your stuff like ankle braces, knee braces, whatever it may be. Go check the board because sometimes they have people trying out different things on the field. So your name could be up there. You never know. So I'd go check the board and make sure all my sheets were in order, make sure that all the information packages that they give us is like in a neat little binder and stuff. Then 9 o'clock, so we'd have meetings, and our meetings go from 9 to 11, and we just discuss various things related to football, about plays we're putting in, and plan of attack, and all sorts of different things. And then at 11, we actually go on the field, and that's when practice starts. It goes from 11 to 1 o'clock, and then after you finish practicing, they have a board, and sometimes your name's on the board for media. So you go speak in front of the local news channels and stuff, and get interviewed sometimes. And then we go back in, and then we watch more film. So we get back in around like 1:30, about 1:45. Then we watch film for about an hour and a half, like an hour to an hour and a half. So it'd be like 2:45 to around 3:15 ish. And then after that, sometimes you work out. So for about an hour, so it'll be like 4:15. So it adds up. It can be a pretty lengthy
Wow,
day, and
that must
that's it.
that must be a heavy toll on your body.
Pardon?
That must be a heavy toll on the body.
Oh yes, it adds up for after a while. At first, it isn't that bad, but it's kind of an accumulative thing over time. Small things add up and add up and add up, and yes, it takes a toll on your body. And then that's why I have to wake up at 6:30 every morning to go to get some treatment, and that's just your basic physio, lots of ice, and they hook you up to machines and stuff. That's it.
Jill in the chat room asked, "What do you eat on a normal training day, and what do you eat on a game day?"
Okay, so during the season, I'd wake up and I'd go to the stadium. For most of the season, I was doing a liquid shake for breakfast. So it would be about a cup of oatmeal, a cup of, I mean, like a scoop of veggie greens. It's this powdered, super concentrated vegetable supplement that sometimes take if you don't get your normal requirement of vegetables or whatever, or nutrients. So I put a scoop of that in, one scoop of glutamine, which is supposed to aid in recovery and prevent muscle tissue breakdown. What else? And yeah, and then you mix that all together with a scoop, like 2 scoops of protein. And that's what I do for breakfast. Then we go on the field, and I'd have that during meetings. Then we'd have practice for 2 hours, and after that, I'd come back and have another shake, well, just to kind of, hold me over until film or workouts are done. Then when I go home, I usually have, honestly, I live by chicken and rice and broccoli. So I'd have like chicken breasts, like about 2 chicken breasts with a cup of rice and usually like about a fistful of broccoli. That's a good way to measure it. And then usually a snack in the afternoon. Then for dinner, just eat some huge portion of meat mixed with more rice, brown rice, and yeah, some other vegetable. But yeah, that's pretty much my diet during the football season.
Little Sis 25 asked, what are your plans after the CFL? Will you continue to work with kids? Would you ever
Oh,
coach kids?
yes, I'll definitely continue working with kids. Right now, I'm kind of up in the air as to what I want to do after football. My initial plan was to either do law school or go into law enforcement. So I was going to be a provincial police officer. I was looking into doing that. In Ontario, they call it the OPP, so Ontario Provincial Police Officers. And yeah, and if I were to study law, do the LSATs and then hopefully get into law school and then go into corporate law one day. But after meeting a bunch of professionals, I'm really not sure what the future holds. I've been asked a couple of times to go do internships at a couple of people's companies just because, I don't know, they said I have a nice personality and I do well in business. So I don't know what that means. Maybe I guess I have a nice personality. I have no idea. But I don't know. That's intriguing. I still consider myself fairly young. I need to start figuring out what I need to do, but I want to keep doors open for now and see where it takes me.
What was it like being in college and playing, and how did you stay focused? And well, this is a three-part question. How did you stay focused, and what personal philosophy you utilized to keep you on track with your studies?
Okay. So the way I stayed focused in university is plain and simple. I was getting tons of help from my mom. She went miles and miles and miles to make sure, that I was okay. And got what I needed. Also, I took out student loans. So plain and simple, I looked at it personally. It's like I'm spending my mother's money and I'm spending my own money because when you take out a loan, that's your own money. You have to pay it back. And I'm not going to take this for granted. I can't waste time. And that's it. That's how I remind myself every day. I'm like, I'm paying for this. I'm paying for this. I'm paying for this. I better do well. That's that's it. That's my. It was a straight track mind, and that's it. That's my viewpoint. I was paying for this, and I got to do well. I got to make the most of it. It's my money. I want the most out of it.
As an offense, what you call offensive line, what do you bring to that position every game, and how do your teammates feel about you holding that position?
So, as as an offensive lineman, I'll be honest. I'm one of the smaller guys, believe it or not, on the field. Everybody calls me a skinny guy.
They call
So I
you a
don't know. I
skinny
bring,
guy.
yeah, certain, I guess, athleticism, explosiveness, and that's it. Just athletic ability. That's what the coaches say, and I would agree with them. Just because other guys are extremely powerful, and that's it. We have to take a different approach to the game sometimes, and that's my approach is
Okay.
athleticism.
What are some of your concerns in that position during a game?
During the game,
Hmm.
oh, during the game, there's about a million things that go on at a single time. So as as you approach the line of scrimmage, that's the line where the football is spotted and where the defense lines up off to. The defense is shifting around and they're moving into different formations and stuff. So based on how they move, it dictates how we're going to pick up our assignments and stuff. We have to we have to listen to the snap count first of all. That's when the quarterback yells, go blue 42, set hut. We have to listen to that, and we have to communicate to like to the four other linemen. So I play left guard, so it goes like this. It's like a left tackle, left guard, guard, right tackle. So we have to communicate to each other what the defense is doing and how we're going to pick it up while listening to the snap count. And then you got to make sure you actually get off as soon as the ball is snapped, as soon as the quarterback says hut. So you have to do all those things simultaneously. And yes, those are our concerns. All three of those things are concerns at the same time.
As as I was listening to you just now, I couldn't help reflecting on what you said earlier when you were in high school, and you were doing all those again exciting subjects, and you call them like solving a puzzle, putting it together. Um, does it feel like that, or rather, I won't say during the game, but in reflection, does it feel like that, like putting a puzzle together sometimes?
uh, I'd say the preparation aspect of it is just
Okay.
because you communicate. Like before the games happen, we all communicate with the coaches and stuff and figure out what's the best way to do things. Our coach would usually run by a plan of attack on how to handle certain things, and then we communicate and see if this is the best way to do it, and then we just pull our brain power together and figure out what's the best way to get things done. And yeah, in a sense, that is almost like a puzzle. But when the game happens, it is so fast, it is so blurry, it is just pure adrenaline, and it is instinct. So yes, you you have a week to prepare for the game, and you just beat these rules and guidelines into you, so this way you can just react when the game time comes, and that's it.
I don't know, Chris, if this is a fair question, but I'm going to ask it. I just
Okay.
thought of it. What in your opinion makes you different to other football players?
Different from other football players, I don't. That's a tough question to answer, just because honestly, there are tons of people who work hard. I think I work hard, but I just know that there's tons of people in my eyes who work harder than me too. But yeah, and I think I'm intelligent, but then again, there's tons of people who are way more intelligent than I am. So I don't know. I like to say
I just admire your mother did a great job. I just admire your humility, Chris. I really do. Um, walk us through a game. Let me see how I can ask this. A game where your courage and skills made an impact on the outcome of the game.
uh, it's the way it goes professionally, personally, the the better you play personally means that you go unnoticed. So you can have an impact on the game, but no one will ever notice that it happens at my position.
Oh,
So
okay.
yes, I'd say I've had a fair amount of good games, but the dynamic impact, it's hard to make at my position just because it's just the nature of our position and that's the way it is. Like for instance, like if you're a quarterback, you could throw a million touchdowns, you can make a great passes, and that's a visual impact. And if you're a running back, if you run for a million yards, or that's a visual, that's like a measurable impact on how the game went. Um, I guess just doing our job as a unit, us five working together and doing our job, making sure the quarterback doesn't get hit, making sure the running back can run the ball. That is an impact. So we measure impact as like group success and how well we dictated how the game went, and that is basically our like we measure how well the game went and like how we dictated how the game went by how we move people, and if we move people, that's that's good.
you,
I
you,
guess
you,
that's how we measure it.
you've been in this position for a while, would you say?
Ah, believe it or not, I haven't been in this position all too long compared to you know, some of my teammates and stuff. For instance, some of these guys have been playing since they're about 7 or 8 years old, and they've been
Wow.
playing various positions, and they played the same position through all of university and through all of high school. So that's an additional 8 or 9 years of experience that they have on me. I've been only playing my position for 4 years, so I'm still brand new and I'm still learning, plain and
Is
simple.
there is there a dream position, another dream position that you have?
I'll be honest, everybody has dreams of, I, of playing like quarterback or something, but my dream position would be, honestly, I loved playing defensive line and just chasing after the quarterback. It's fun just running out there and just running around and trying to hit someone. That's,
It's funny you said
that's,
that. Bob in the chat room just asked, "Do you miss being a defensive lineman?"
oh, yeah, I do. Sometimes I do, just because it's fun, just because you get to be an athlete more than anything. It's less cerebral than offensive line, and yeah, you're just an athlete, and you're told just to beat the person in front of you and go get the ball. Whoever has the ball, that's who you're going after, and that's it, plain simple.
There's a photo that I put on, I included in your ad, and I did that because what it said to me. You were leaning over, and there's I don't know who the person was.
Oh yeah, that's our quarterback.
Was a quarterback. You were smiling and very happy. What were you present to at that time?
Oh no, honestly, it's probably after a big play. I think that picture was just after we scored a touchdown. And honestly, whenever you score a touchdown, everyone's happy. You sprint to the end zone as fast as possible, and then you go celebrate with the person. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you get on TV. Sometimes mama gets to see, and yeah, you just go in the end zone and you go celebrate, and it is just a good time just because it represents the best possible outcome that could have happened on that particular set of plays, and that's it. You
um,
reach your goal.
as you sit with me this evening, what do you hope young people who have tuned in tonight get out of this conversation?
Honestly, I'd say first you got to work at whatever you do. Plain simple. There are no shortcuts. If you want to be successful and if you want to be respected, you got to work. Plain and simple.
I like that.
Two, it's never too late to figure out what you want to be and where you want to go. For instance, I'm playing professional football right now. I have no idea where I'm going to end up. I could be a cop, I could be a lawyer, I could be a businessman. Whatever you do, just realize it's not too late for you to work hard to where you want to be. So do not give up. Number three, hit the books, take them seriously because it goes a long way and it opens up a lot of roads down the road, plain and simple, because transcripts get you interviews and they continue to get you additional interviews.
Say that again, Chris.
Okay, so I'll say it again. Hit the
Transcripts.
fronts, do well, transcripts get you interviews, and high marks get you additional interviews. So
I like that. I
plain
like
and
that.
simple, it's the way it goes,
Do,
because you could be an absolute dynamo when it comes to personal conversation, but when they pull up the transcripts and they see you didn't do well, they're like, does this guy really want to work? Or does this girl really want to work? That's it, plain and simple. And number four, get out there and just be well rounded. Just whether it comes to reading, just meeting new people of different walks of life, playing sports, just trying like different things. Just be well rounded. Playing something. You never know what you're gonna like, and just never fall for one niche or don't fall into a stereotype. And that's it, plain and simple.
you have a lot of you spend a lot of time with young people in your spare time, and this is something you love doing. Why do you think they gravitate to you?
Honestly, I think they gravitate to me just because they're usually intimidated at first, like I said, and then when I open up to them, they realize I am an oversized child. So, and I treat them just as equals. So that's why they realize that they can just speak to me and just be themselves around me. They don't see me as a disciplinarian or an authority figure. They just see me as a person. If they do need disciplining, of course I'll have to put on my serious face and tell them they can't do that. But for the most part, I'm their peer, so
And
that's why I think they gravitate towards me.
what would you say are some things that you learn which from them in actions?
Oh, it is fascinating what you can learn from kids, just because their view on things is outstanding, and they're probably some of the most candid people
Or tell me.
unintentionally on planet Earth. Like for instance, like if I don't know, for instance, I forgot what happened. Like one time, like during the year, I lost a whole bunch of weight, and they're like, "Oh, Chris, how come you're so skinny now?" Like, like stuff like that. Just being honest and blunt, and they like for instance, like I help them with arts and crafts and stuff, and sometimes you use cardboard and just cut up shapes and stuff, and then sometimes like what they think the shapes represent and resemble is just mind blowing. It's just I don't know. Like I feel like adults just wouldn't see it that way anymore, just because I don't know they've lost like some of their creativity and stuff. And
The
that's from kids. I just learned how to be creative, and sometimes that being candid is it's hilarious, and sometimes it's completely necessary.
in the chat room, Jen asked, "There is a picture of you leaning over a young man in a wheelchair. Could you tell us about that?"
Oh, okay, so his name was David Leach. Unfortunately, he passed away this year. Battled he battled his whole life with spina bifida. So he was confined to a wheelchair just because his spinal cord just didn't develop, and plain and simple. And yeah, so every day he would come out to watch us practice. That was at the old facility because in our new place it's a bowl, so it's not ground level. So you come out, yeah. So he couldn't come out every day just because it was kind of inconvenient. You had to take elevators and stuff. He was confined to a wheelchair, so yes. And that was our old stadium. So he'd come out and watch every day, and even between drills, he'd even throw the ball around with our quarterbacks and stuff. And I remember the team pitched in. We bought him an SLR camera, so that's a single lens reflex. It's like one of the fancy high end cameras with the huge lenses that they take professional grade photos with. And he would just go around taking pictures of players. Players loved it because they get his email. He'd send them pictures and stuff, and he was a member of the team. And that's it. So whenever you saw him, you just go talk to him, just have regular conversation because he was a very intelligent guy, and
Mhm.
he's just one. Honestly, we viewed him as like one of the team members.
Who do you admire in the field of sports?
In my sport,
In your
who do
sport, yeah.
I admire? There was a defensive lineman. I believe his name was Alan Page. He used to play for the Minnesota Vikings, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but either way, right now he is a judge. He is a judge in the state of Minnesota. and he just, where he played back in the day, and he just, he just seemed to be well rounded. He just knew what was going on. At the tail end of his career, he realized that, hey, football is not going to work out. I need to start taking this law thing seriously. Also, that's why I take him seriously. I mean, that's why I admire him too, just because he was also interested in law. And yeah, now he's a judge. He studied while he played, and now he's extremely successful.
You know, I believe if I asked you, and I'm probably prejudging here, who is your favorite Canadian team?
Oh,
We,
Canadian football team?
yes, sir. Um,
Ooh, that was tough. It's weird. By association, growing up, I just heard about the Argos and stuff. I grew up in the States, but that was the only team I really knew about. But then as when I moved back to Canada, you learn about the team just because you play football and stuff. And yeah, I just became a fan of the league more than anything, just because it's wide open. But yeah, I grew up cheering for the Toronto Argonauts.
really?
Yeah, just because
Who's your favorite American team?
my favorite American team is the Atlanta Falcons.
Really?
Yeah, it's because I'm a fan of, back in the day, they had a running back. His name is Jamal Anderson. He was really good. And yeah, man, I just decided to pick them. And yeah, I just like their uniforms too. That's why I picked them.
Bob in the chat room said, "What is your favorite football memory so far?"
My favorite football memory
I
would
like that
probably
question.
be, I remember in university, what we play in, our conference is called, yeah, Ontario University Athletic Association, OUAA, or like just OUA for short. And the championship you can win in that conference is called the Yates Cup. And I remember my second year at university, we had kind of an up and down season. We started the year 0-4, and then we won 4 games in a row, and then we went to the playoffs, and then we had to play on this muddy, muddy field, and no one's like, we're kind of underdogs, and no one really gave us a chance, and we won, and it was just good to celebrate because that was the first real trophy I'd ever won or just been a part of winning in my whole life, and it was just fun.
Y-
Yeah.
Chris, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we get back, there's a question in the chat room from Jen, and your answer it as soon as we get. The question is, shouldn't your favorite Canadian team be the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? So let's take a break. I'll give you a chance to to mull over that a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
Na 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 na. Oh yeah. Oh. Jah, you're my strength. You're my strength.
We are back with Chris Graves. Greaves, right? Sorry. Chris, the question I asked before the break is by Jen in the chat room. Um, shouldn't your favorite Canadian team be the Winnipeg Blue Bombers?
Oh, it is. It's 100% my favorite team is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But the thing is, growing up, in the States, it's knowing about the CFL was kind of tough. And, before, it's weird because the Argonauts were the only team I knew about growing up because I wasn't really interested in football. I was playing basketball up until, grade 10. And then I moved to the States from it was about grade 3, so about 8 years old to high school, which is like 15, if I was thinking, or like 14 or something like that. So, yeah, just that was the only team I knew about, and by association, since it was the hometown team, that was my favorite team. But afterwards, because Winnipeg gave me the opportunity, and because it's a great city with great people, and the city's welcomed me with open arms, and provided me an opportunity that I'm forever grateful for. It is my favorite team, hands down. There is no dispute, there is no question that Winnipeg is my favorite team right now.
Tell us about your biggest frustration in your current profession.
Current profession is, yeah, we didn't have a good year this year, and yeah, it's just losing. Just the toll of losing, it really weighs on you and becomes heavy after a while. Just because everyone, it just seems down, and the atmosphere and ambiance becomes negative around the stadium and the locker room, and that is extremely frustrating. So trying to break that in order to right yourself and win and become confident again is the biggest frustration.
Uh, what has brought you the most joy in this field?
I'd probably say just winning and just meeting new people. Winning just because when you win, it's just the weight's lifted off your chest, and your preparation for that week or for however how long you prepared for has paid off. And yes, it's very important. And also just meeting new people. You meet all sorts of people from different walks of life, and that is probably the most rewarding and enjoyable thing about playing football.
In the chat room, Denise asked if you could play for an American team, which would you play for?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Honestly, I would take any team just because having that opportunity would be incredible. And I would play for any team, and I would do whatever it took just to stick around for that team. So, if ideally in perfect situations, so the mom could come watch, would be maybe Buffalo or Atlanta just because she likes that city, and it's my favorite team too. But yeah,
Uh,
that's it.
I'm drawn to a question that just popped up in the chat room, and it's by Hallie. You spend a lot of time training. Do you have a girlfriend?
No, I do not have one right now. I just train all the time, and that's it.
Okay. Uh, Chris, tell me when you're well. First, do you always agree with your coach's decisions?
No, you don't always agree with the coach's decision. It's kind of, you owe it to yourself to kind of understand or question what they're trying to pitch at you, because the coaches can be wrong too, because they draw up a master plan and we're supposed to follow that master plan, but sometimes there's mistakes and sometimes there's better ways to handle things. And, as a unit, as a position group, we just go over the plan and sometimes pitch an idea to see if it's better or not. If it's not, then it doesn't work. But sometimes, a lot of times actually we come up with different ways to handle different things. So, it's just, I think that having that mindset is good for anything, just to kind of question what's thrown at you. If you just take in information and don't question it, you don't learn really. You just learn how to reciprocate. You just like spew it forward. That's it. And yeah, and yeah, by kind of like questioning or just looking and analyzing things, you learn, and that's it. That's how we all learn.
Well, what would you say is the most satisfying? What is most satisfying about your position?
About our position, I'd probably say the most satisfying thing would be just honestly, I'd say the most satisfying thing is going unnoticed. If you could, consistently play well and just go unnoticed, you're an unsung hero. It's just people, I don't know, I just take this sweet joy in knowing that people have no idea what we do and and how important it is. To me, it just, I don't know, I take joy in that. So that's a satisfaction thing to me, because you can do extremely well and you can be a critical part, but people have no clue about it. That's satisfying to me.
I'm so glad you mentioned that word unsung heroes, because part of what this show is about is to expose those of us or those people who are, you know, our unsung heroes and doing wonderful things behind the scenes without being noticed and without craving to be noticed. and I have a tremendous amount of respect for people like that. Um, so I'm glad you mentioned that, and you're comfortable with being an unsung hero. Let me just go to the chat room for a second. Oh, Ali asked, "Would you like one?" I guess that's the girlfriend question, Chris. I,
Well, of course, one day, you gotta help. Plain and simple.
you're
Especially my
focused.
mom's, fucking think I'm single for life. So yeah, of course.
So Mitch asked, now that your season is over, what are your aspirations for the next season?
For next season, well, first of all, I want to be part of a winning team, so I'm gonna do whatever I can to help the team get better and help them win. And my aspirations is just to do what I usually do: go in the off season, train as hard as possible. Watch the film and see where I can get better, plain and simple, and prepare myself and just try to be the best person I can be going into the next season. And that's through watching film and working extremely hard when it comes to training and stuff.
You mentioned a few moments ago about the losing streak and how heavily it weighs upon you and the rest of your team and so on. And with that, I asked this question: what are some principles you live by that carry you through turbulent times?
Principles I live by, as probably say one is to work hard regardless of what you're doing. Whatever path you take, you got to work at it, plain and simple. And yeah, that's the main one. Second is, like I preached before, patience will get you so far just because, it lets you keep your cool and it lets you see the bigger picture in the long run. And that's it. And then third, come to realize that it's never too late to accomplish your goals. I know a lot of people have these, self-placed timelines on themselves in which they need to accomplish things. And that's fair. It's completely reasonable to have those timelines. But, if you want to get something done, you can still do it, plain and simple. And those are three rules or tenets that I live by.
Chris, who pushes you when you don't feel like doing what you're supposed to be doing?
I'd probably say what pushes me is I can't let people down. I'd say that is the thing that bothers me the most. Just plain simple, I just can't let people down. You know, I've been afforded this opportunity, and knowing that my mom, my sister, and my family, they're all watching, it's just, I can't let them down. So I got to work hard and, represent myself and my family as best as possible. So
It,
that is what pushes me, and that's what motivates me too.
who are some well, Denise in the chat room rather said asked what do you truly believe in?
What do I truly believe in? I'm not really sure how, like, in what regard. How do I approach that question?
Well, hopefully Denise will come back and ask the question again.
Yeah. You
Um,
mean just like,
if you had the ears of the youth tonight, and there are some I'm confident have tuned in, what would you tell them about hard work, discipline, and respect for each other?
I'd say hard work, discipline, and respect for each other is absolutely critical in order to, you know, one, to attract great people to be around you. Those three things are completely necessary. Two, in order to get where you want to be, you can't accomplish anything without doing those three things or having or embodying those three things. And that's it, plain and simple. Those two things will get you very far, and they will surround you with people that are great.
Denise said, "Do you believe in hard work, passion yourself?"
Yes, I do. Plain and simple. If if you don't have a passion for what you're doing, you're not going to enjoy it. And and if you work hard at it, you can actually see the fruits of your labor. So, for instance, like when I play, it's the fruit of my labor, and all the training and treatment and repairing like broken body parts or whatever. It's just a testament as to how that goes. And if you work hard, it's just it's amazing what you can do just because, you can accomplish so many things. People don't realize that, they just they don't see they don't see hard work as kind of like as a means to an end just because, you know, I don't know, people just aren't used to working hard these days, plain and simple. I'll be honest, I've compared to a lot of people out there, like for instance my mom or engineers or whatever, I don't work that hard compared to them. I say I work hard, but compared to other people in the world, I don't work that hard.
That's honest.
Yeah,
That's
but
honest. Jen in
I'll
the
be honest.
chat rooms asked, "What are your thoughts on bullying among youth?"
Oh, it's absolutely terrible. Plain and simple. I'd say most people at some point have been bullied in some way, shape, or form in their lifetime, and I believe it's terrible. And I feel that I don't know it's getting better because I've been part of a lot of bullying programs and stuff, and awareness is actually increasing. But how we handle bullying is just kind of it's in the dark, and how to properly take care of the situation is in the dark and stuff, and it's pretty critical just because bullying can absolutely destroy a person's confidence and what you need in this world is confidence if you're going to accomplish anything. So yeah,
Talking about
and
confidence. How do you maintain energy and drive during the setbacks?
during the setbacks,
Hmm.
like I said, you can't let people down, and setbacks aren't permanent unless you actually do something about them. So you got to realize that you got to change it. Plain simple, it's on you. A setback is a setback, but you also have to do something to actually change the situation that you're in. You just can't sit back and hope that it goes away. So I don't know. If that's not a motivating factor, I don't know what is.
Um, what are you most proud of?
Honestly, I am just most proud of my family, plain and simple. Just because my mom, single mother, immigrant, came here. She works hard and she's very successful. Sister's in school right now and she's on the path to being successful. I have two successful brothers and that's it. So I'm proud of my family.
And any special message to your mom?
Special, love you, love you to death, love you to pieces, and sometimes you gotta tone down on how hard you work, mom. I know hard work is very important, but mom, don't overdo it.
Don't overdo it, huh? In the chat room, Mill asked, "What fuels your passion about working with youth?"
What fuels my passion about working with youth is just honestly just seeing how they develop as people and stuff, and just I don't want to too much, but I just want to kind of like I don't want to say coax or just like guide them along the way in order to develop as people and stuff, and just seeing them evolve in a short period of time. Kids grow extremely fast, both mentally and physically. Just seeing their personalities change and trying to guide them to be, well-rounded and likable people. That's what drives me. That's it, plain and simple.
There's a question that I ask all my guests, which I'm going to ask you just now as we close the show. But there's another one that keeps coming up, and it always I'm always curious to ask it. And uh, what would you tell your 13-year if you could go back in time? What would you tell your 13-year-old self?
Oh, my 13-year-old self.
Yes.
Oh boy. So, I'll probably say I was pretty quiet and pretty shy, and I'd probably say I had like some confidence issues and stuff. I'd probably say, honestly, just oh man, this is a hard question to answer. Just sit back. I'd probably not sit back, but just enjoy growing up.
Mm.
Honestly, like adolescence is it's a whirlwind, and it's a hell of a time. And just enjoy it more than anything. People think it's a nightmare, but you grow so much and you meet so many people, and I say that just take it all in and just meet different people, embrace different cultures and stuff, and don't be so darn shy. So,
Okay.
get out there and learn about people.
Wonderful. Good answer. In the chat room, Kim said, "I love you more. Haven't worked much overtime lately."
Good.
And please share some closing thoughts. All right. Tell us why we should care about the youth and how vital it is to the progress of our society.
To care about youth,
Yes. Why should we care?
okay, it is absolutely vital to care about youth because they shape our tomorrow. Plain and simple. We aren't going to be around forever. Plain and simple. People have to learn this and understand this and realize that there's a clock in your head. These are the people who will be, interacting with your relatives, with your friends, with your friends' kids and stuff. So what you want to do is you want to mold them and shape them, or just push them. Like, if they don't want to push them, or just guide them just to interact with each other and just to live in harmony. That's the way I view it. And we got to do our part in order to kind of set the ideal and to show them that it's possible for everyone to live in harmony and everyone to work together, plain and simple, to build an ideal world. I know it sounds pretty cliche, but yeah, that's the way it goes.
In the chat room, Wayne said, "Great interview. Good luck for the upcoming season. I have no doubt that you will be successful with whatever you do in the future. By the way,
I,
by the way, your Raptors lost to the Brooklyn Nets tonight. Sorry,
I,
laugh out loud."
oh, he's probably a New Yorker. Oh, no, it's not good. But thank you very much.
And Chris, the question that I ask all my guests finally: what makes you laugh out loud?
What makes me laugh out loud? If anybody knows, I laugh a whole ton. Like I said, I'm a goofball, so it doesn't take much, honestly, because I view the funny side of everything. And what makes me laugh out loud is just a light spirit and just just joking around about life in general, and just past interactions with people and stuff. Memories. For instance, I go to my sister and be like, "Yo, you remember this time?" And we'll just start killing ourselves laughing. Go to my mom and be like, "Oh, you remember when this happened?" Yeah, yeah, stuff like that makes me laugh out loud all the time.
Did you have
Hmm.
fun tonight, Chris?
Oh yeah, tons of fun. I just enjoy talking. Hopefully, people didn't get too bored by me just rambling on and on. But yeah,
No, you
tons of
weren't
fun.
a rambler. I want to take this opportunity, this moment, to thank you for coming on. I enjoy chatting with you. You're now an official member of CWS, and I hope one day, you'll come back in the near future and share, what you have done between today and then with us. And so, thank you for agreeing. It's been some time that we had this discussion, and you finally got the time to do it. So, thank you very much for this, Chris. And I admire you and respect you as a young man. You're the son of my good friend from high school, and I must congratulate her for what a good job she has done. She must be proud of you, as you are proud of her. So thanks.
Thanks for having me, and everyone, thanks for taking the time to listen to Selwyn and I. And yes, much appreciated.
All right, I want to say good night and God bless.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, oh God, is this the new world that you order? I really wanna know, 'cause if it's so, things ain't better, no better than before. Is this the new world that you order? I really wanna know, 'cause if it's so, things ain't better, no better than before. Listen my story, please hear me, cha-cha, yeah. Make me a promise. Another confrontation between my wife and myself. Oh, yeah. Now how the hell me going get out of this one? Another problem again. The wife asks if there's another woman Or is she just a friend? In the back of my mind, I knew I wasn't guilty of anything. But we all know woman intuition, so I probably won't win. I say, who are you talking about? She said, here's her number, there's no doubt. That's when I realized it was best to shut my mouth. And she said, I wanna know